This is the Good Government Show.
One of the reasons why I got involved was because I actually felt so disenfranchised. And really the best way to feel like your vote actually matters is to get engaged. I think when we were talking about, young people getting involved in politics or just people getting involved, period, I think that having a young leader is something that can be very exciting for the next generations. And I really got to see that on the campaign. One of the reasons why it takes so long to count our votes is because we are really careful. We are really thorough in the way that we go about doing things. And it's so important that people have trust in our systems. Otherwise they're not going to feel comfortable voting. We want to make sure that we create job opportunities too that keep those students and folks engaged in living in our city. We don't want folks just living in Berkeley, heading across the bay to San Francisco for jobs. I think it's amazing how we are a huge country and yet many of us are dealing with so many of the same issues.
Adena Ishii is in her first year as mayor of Berkeley, California. I really like talking with younger elected officials. It does give you a good feeling to see young people getting involved. And as you'll hear, Berkeley is in good hands. Welcome to the Good Government Show. I'm Dave Martin. First, help us share the message of good government by liking us and sharing us where we are on Facebook, X, YouTube, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Please share our show with your friends and review us where you're listening and join our Good Government Show community. Check out our website for the link. I was so impressed talking with Berkeley Mayor Adena Ishii, and you will be too. The more young people who get involved and stay involved, that's just good government for everyone. I talked to Mayor Ishii in January. She had just about a month on the job. Since we met, I got on her mailing list, and I see the mayor in my inbox regularly. She's very good at getting the word out. One recent article written about her calls her the can-do mayor. That's impressive. As you will hear, prior to being elected mayor, Adena spent time working with the League of Women Voters, and we discussed elections, election integrity, and as you will hear, your vote matters. Prepare to be inspired. If anything, Mayor Ishii's election to mayor should inspire others to get involved. Government has to change. It has to grow. It has to be inspired. Inspired by new leaders who bring a new passion to the job. Coming up, my conversation with new Mayor Adena Ishii of Berkeley, California. What if World War I never happened? What if these three royal cousins, King George of England, Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany, and Tsar Nicholas of Russia, chose peace over pride? Good Government Show executive producer Jim Ludlow has just released a new book. The Royal Cousins is a gripping alternate history that imagines how diplomacy and courage could have stopped a war that took 22 million lives. If only they'd used the principles of good government. Download The Royal Cousins now on Kindle. It's powerful, timely, and just 99 cents. And all the proceeds support our work here on The Good Government Show. Just search The Royal Cousins on Amazon today. Welcome to The Good Government Show. I'm happy to have with me as our guest, Adena Ishii, the new mayor of Berkeley, California. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Are you used to people saying mayor yet?
Not quite yet. It's just been a little bit over a month, so.
Maybe at home you could say, don't, not mom, not Ishii, just from now on, just Madam Mayor.
Maybe.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I know. I don't think my daughter will go in for it.
She's not going to go for that. So one of the reasons why I certainly wanted to chat with you is because I've talked with other mayors and political leaders in your area. You're in Berkeley, California. A lot going on. And I know that there are two big issues that everyone is dealing with in the Bay Area is housing and homelessness. And then as a result of that, crime. Berkeley's a little bit, not one of the worst areas hit with some of those problems, but I know those are challenges. You just ran for mayor. Were those issues on your campaign, and what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Housing and homelessness, public safety and infrastructure were my top issues. So you hit the nail on the head. Yeah,
I hit it. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in terms of, what we're doing, I think that with our city, we've actually made a lot of changes around housing in particular. I mean, obviously housing and homelessness are so inextricably linked.
Sure.
Yeah. And I think with homelessness right now, I think we're facing a lot of the same challenges that they're facing really all over the country. It's amazing to speak with other mayors about, mental health, just finding enough places for people to go, making sure people have the right resources and support, that we're doing it in a compassionate way, but that we're also being effective in the work that we're doing.
So prior to this, You were not in city government at all, right?
No, I was not formally elected. It's my first time in public office.
This is your first election? You're 1-0.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. What inspired you to do it?
Yeah, well, actually, I got involved in local politics really in the budget cuts to education. I was a student at Berkeley City College and helping to organize my peers on budget cut rallies up in Sacramento. And then I got very involved with the League of Women Voters. So I love that you have the Good Government show because, of course, we talk about that all the time with League.
Now, that is something I got a chance to do a little bit of research about you. You were a director of voter services.
I was actually our president, our youngest and first woman of color elected president of the local league in 107 League of Women Voters in 107 years. And then I was also vice president of the California State League as well.
Let's talk about elections. Let's talk about voting. It seems to be a topic that's getting a lot of press. Are the elections free? Are they fair? Are they well run? Are they well managed? What did you learn? And tell people to reassure them that voting goes pretty well in this country.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that we have a really fantastic voting system. I think one of the reasons why it takes so long to count our votes is because we are really careful. We are really thorough in the way that we go about doing things. And it's so important that people have trust in our systems. Otherwise they're not going to feel comfortable voting. And just, I think voter turnout is something I am incredibly concerned about in our country, because then we're not really representing the whole country if not everyone shows up to cast a ballot.
I remember talking to some young guy and he said, "Oh, that's all for you old people." Right? I said, "You don't vote?" He goes,
"Oh my gosh."
He goes, "No, why bother?" So what do you say to somebody like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think understanding where people are coming from.
That must kill you, by the way.
Yeah, it does. It does. You should see my face right now. I definitely jaw dropped. And that is it's really painful, especially as a person who was very young that got involved in politics. One of the reasons why I got involved was because I actually felt so disenfranchised. And really the best way to feel like your vote actually matters is to get engaged and see what's happening. Once you know how our systems work, once you get a chance to see change actually happen, especially on the local level, that really helps you feel like your vote really does matter. And you can see, like, even in my race, I only won in first place votes by a few hundred, and 1,000 votes after
was it a ranked choice voting?
After ranked choice voting, I won by 1,000, over 1,000. But in that first,
briefly explain ranked choice voting.
Oh gosh! All right, so ranked choice voting, in a nutshell, in a nutshell, it basically allows people to rank the choices, and once the bottom vote getter gets eliminated, then your votes go to the next person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, basically allowing for local jurisdictions, mostly that are doing it, to not have to have runoffs, because it's a very costly thing to have many different runoffs. And it allows people to also have an election where people are being less divisive, I would say, because you want to try to get people second choice votes.
And some people are touting this as the future of voting and a positive path forward for elections. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree. The League of Women Voters has been a strong proponent of ranked choice voting, and it's a system that I've known about for a long time. I think that a big issue here for a lot of folks is just understanding how that works and why it's a good thing. I think when we're talking a lot about democracy issues, we want to talk about making sure our elections are fair. And I think when things like ranked choice voting are really confusing, it makes people more uncertain. But there's some great videos online on YouTube that explain it in a really clear fashion. That's more visual.
Well, I thought you did a pretty good job.
Thank you.
There are people that I talk to, friends of mine, who have said, "Oh, the election was rigged, the election was stolen." You worked in this arena. Tell me why it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, in this presidential election, or you mean just locally? I mean,
in the presidential election, the last one, certainly.
I think that something people need to think about is that each individual vote is counted. For there to be any kind of election fraud, it would have to be a massive amount of votes that would have to be fraudulent. And there are so many different safeguards in place to prevent that from happening. There are so many different people involved. They even had video of people actually counting the ballots, which I actually found quite shocking, because it feels like an invasion of their privacy. They're there doing their jobs.
Have you done that yourself?
What? No, I have not done that myself. Yeah, the League of Women Voters, we do really encourage people to be poll workers, but I think my work was more around engaging people to do that work and activating the community.
Well, I was a poll worker.
Oh, that's great.
I've worked in my neighborhood.
So you should tell us, why should people people trust, our voting system.
Because you walk in, your vote is counted, they hand it to the next guy who puts it into the system, and you walk out the door and everybody knows what they're doing. And I don't see how and I've worked at the same polling place now for a couple of elections. I don't know how you could fake it. I don't know how you could tamper with it. It seems like it's impossible to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think if you go and you actually talk to poll workers, you really get a chance to see, how well trained they are. I was so impressed. I love to actually, even though we can do vote by mail in the state of California, everyone gets a vote by mail ballot. I love going to vote at my polling place just to see my neighbors and to interact with folks there. It was really, really well done.
So you have your campaign managers with you, watching, making sure I say that, ask the right thing.
Who's now my staffer.
Who's now your staff. I saw that one of your endorsements was from an organization called Run for Something.
Yes.
Tell me about Run for Something, and did they encourage you, and were they helpful? Because I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, Run for Something is trying to encourage young people to run for office. I'm 34 years old, so I don't know, it's young or not.
You're young.
I guess compared to most of the mayors here, I probably am. And I think it was really helpful. I think just bringing that to the forefront, that is an issue we should be talking about is important. And I think when we were talking about, young people getting involved in politics, or just people getting involved, period, I think that having a young leader is something that can be very exciting for the next generations. And I really got to see that on the campaign.
And I think also, if I may, when you see a young person running and winning, I think it makes it more accessible. Do you agree?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people were saying, you're the underdog. There's no chance you're going to win. And, here I am sitting with you in DC.
You're a winner as well.
That's right.
So a couple of things I just, like I said, I did a little bit of background on things that are going on in Berkeley. I understand you have something called an early intervention software for the police department. Are you up to speed on that?
Yeah, actually, that's an initiative that came out of our chief's office. And that is something I'm really proud of, because our chief really is trying to show the public that we are a transparent system. And I've been really proud of the work that we've been doing around police accountability and trying to encourage that, because it's not about, accountability versus policing. It's actually, we need accountability to help build trust in our police department.
And how is this going to do that? I understand, I read about this briefly. It I guess targets or identifies police officers that maybe aren't the most positive members of the force, shall we say?
Well, no. So it takes a look. I think that they really try to take it from a positive angle.
Okay.
It's early warning system, right? So taking a look at the data, the stop data to see, are there some concerns here? Is there bias, whether implicit or explicit? How can we address that now so it doesn't become an issue later? And that's really important, because you don't want to catch a problem once it's already a very serious problem, right? You want to catch it early.
And in Berkeley, you have a wide, diverse population, right?
Yes. We're really proud of our diversity in our city. You can even see it in our logo.
Are you the first Asian American mayor?
I am the first Asian American mayor. I'm the first woman of color to be mayor.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Did you set out to be a groundbreaker?
No, I didn't set out to be a groundbreaker. I am super proud of that accomplishment. I really like to say I hope I'm the first of many.
Okay. And what are you doing to bring people along with you?
Yeah, I really love that I have this background of League of Women Voters, because that is about democracy, which really means all of the people. And so making sure that we are reaching out to people who don't normally engage in our political systems and making it more accessible. How are we getting information out to people? How are we using social media and other tools? How are we keeping in mind that folks, have disabilities, speak different languages, have children so they can't come to city council meetings? These are all things that we're considering as we're moving forward in my mayorship.
And have you heard from any of your alumni, your fellow graduates from Berkeley? Like, you're mayor? Like, what? Have you heard from them? Are you still in touch with a good number of folks from school?
Yes. Actually, so many people volunteered on my campaign from my time at Berkeley City College, from my time at UC Berkeley, from my time in law school. Actually, my staffer, Sydney, and I actually went to law school together.
Sydney is sitting right here next to us, watching over me, making sure I do what I said I was going to do.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that that's what's really wonderful, is like, I have been so tied into our community and so tied into my peers that I think many of the folks who really know me aren't super surprised, honestly.
So is Sydney the one that says, what are you talking about? No, I've known you since you were 19. No, you are so wrong on this. Is she the one who does that?
I think Sydney is great at calling me out. And that's the thing. The other thing I talk about a lot is accountability. And as mayor, I think that sometimes people like to say, like, oh, well, you can get a really big head. I've only been here a month, right? I don't know what that looks like yet. But it's important to have people that ground you, that say, hey, this is what you said you were going to do when you were running for office, and we expect you to do that. This is the promise that you made to the community. And I always want our community to be in touch and paying attention to what's going on so that we can make sure that we're staying on the right path.
So I know you've only been mayor for a month now, and you talked about the things you ran on. What's like the first thing or things you're trying to tackle? What are you like sinking your teeth into?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that I would say that's coming up right now actually is that we are putting forward an item to reestablish our sanctuary city status.
Okay.
That's really important to me. And also really just building up a good team. Like we just started, even though I've been here a month, we only really got into our office, I think 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And so just really trying to make sure,
How's it feel sitting at the desk?
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, they were doing some lead remediation work. So I'm glad they did it before us.
All right.
But yeah, just building up our team and really kind of forming these relationships with the city council members, since actually we have quite a new city council this year.
And how many of these people did you know from prior?
I actually know all of them before.
You did?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, that's one of the best things is that I don't feel like I'm completely starting fresh.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
I have
helpful.
relationships with these folks already, and I'm really proud to be working with them. They're great folks, and I'm excited. I know we're going to get a lot done this year.
So there is something, again, I noticed when I did my research on Berkeley, talking about the housing issue. It's called ADU, which I guess is...
Accessory dwelling units.
Thank you.
Yeah, granny
Why
flats.
don't you explain it better than I can?
Yeah, sure.
And is this a good project?
Yeah, so granny flats or in-law units, they're called a lot of different names, but a lot of times they're kind of like a building that's in the back of someone's house, where they wanted to create more opportunities for housing. And so we have a great program that Council Member Wengraf put forward that was accessory dwelling units, allowing those that were illegal to basically be grandfathered in. Is that what you were talking about?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And
but this is another way. I mean, it's a multi-pronged approach, I'm sure.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Housing is such a challenging issue. We need to make sure that we're looking at it from a lot of different angles. And ADUs is just one of those angles. But I think it's a great idea because there are so many people who, for instance, they are older couple and they want their kids to come live with them. So maybe they'll build an ADU for them, or vice versa. There's a young family and they want their parents to come live with them, ADU right there. Or maybe, someone wants to just house a student or a young professional. There are so many different options for these ADUs. I'm really excited to continue to streamline that process and make it easier for folks to add them.
What's the criticism of ADUs?
I think the criticism is mostly generally around density, period. I think that there's a lot of concern, what happens if there's too many folks, if there's not enough parking, or, up in the hills, for instance, there's some concern, which is totally warranted, that if there are too many people, it will be harder to evacuate. Obviously, we're having a lot of conversations about fire in the state of California right now.
Yep. You have a very large student population, you have a large university, and you have a lot of residents. Their housing needs and desires don't always line up. How do you balance that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We talk a lot about our town and gown relations, and it can be
town and gown.
Town and gown. Yes, that's right.
So you're a townie and a gownie.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. Well, and I'm really proud of that. I think it's great that I have the background of not only having attended UC Berkeley, worked there. My daughter's actually a student there right now, but our current chancellor, it was the dean of the Haas School of Business where I was in my undergrad, and I'm really looking forward to working with him because I think the big part of this is that university.
Do you just know everybody?
Well, that's what happens when you've been really engaged in your community for a long time. You make those relationships, and those folks, they move on to different jobs, and you never know who you're going to meet. But yeah, coming back to the housing piece, what happens between town and gown, the chancellor I know is really interested as well in building more housing for students because we actually have a student population, unfortunately, that's struggling with housing insecurity.
Yeah, I bet. And how many of those Berkeley students stay?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if we have actual numbers on that, but there are many students who stay because, I'm one of them, right?
Right. Well, in the Bay Area, that's certainly a place that lots of folks live in and move to. And that's why you go to Berkeley.
Right. And also we want to make sure that we create job opportunities too that keep those students and folks engaged in living in our city. We don't want folks just living in Berkeley, heading across the bay to San Francisco for jobs. There are got to be options locally as well.
All right. Well, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about your philosophy, your personal philosophy of government. So get ready.
All right.
The Good Government Show is sponsored by Our. That's OUR for Our Community. Get involved. We hear that all the time from government leaders. Our co-brands with your government's name and logo. Your staff and the people you serve are connected and part of your community. From any device, your members provide reliable data and meaningful feedback. Ask a question like, do we want more parkland or better homeless services? More engaged conversations come through the Our app. Visit Ourco, that's OURCO.com, and book a demonstration.
These are difficult times, and if you believe in justice, progress, and democracy, the news you read and listen to can be pretty depressing. And that's why there's a new podcast called Good News for Lefties and America. Every day it features positive news stories for progressive listeners, because no matter how disturbing the headlines might be, there's always hope we can build on for a better tomorrow. Good News for Lefties and America. Listen on this platform at goodnewsforlefties.com or wherever podcasts are heard.
All right, here we go. You've only been a month in government, so
Okay.
I'm going to couch some of this. So if I'm not going to trip you up necessarily, but I do want to allow for the fact that some of this may be new for you.
Sure.
1 month in, define good government.
Good government to me is a government that's responsive, that is actually listening to its people. And I think two themes that we've already talked about, but accountability and transparency, I think are also really important to be a good government. And also, I just think functional generally. We need to be able to communicate with each other and interact in a way that's civil discourse.
1 month in, how you doing?
How am I doing on those things?
Yes. 1 month in, how are you doing?
I like to think I'm doing okay on that. I will
Okay.
say that I just hired a communications director, and so I'm really hoping to get the word out more about some of the things we are doing.
We'll try to help your other Good Government Show.
Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to that because for me, I want to make sure we're really connecting with the public and showing them about the work that we're doing and engaging them in the work we're doing.
And how will you decide, what will you use as your yardstick other than Sydney to see how you're doing?
Well, I mean, being in touch with the community also means you're receiving regular feedback from the community. And I'm someone who asks for that feedback a lot.
Okay.
I want to know what people think. Am I doing a good job? What would you like to see? What can we be doing better? We should always be working to improve.
And how should people hold you accountable, going forward?
Yeah, I mean, exactly that, giving me that feedback. And we've been getting it. I think that the city of Berkeley is a highly engaged population. I think that one of the ways that I would say would show our success even more is if we were hearing from people who we're not normally hearing from.
When people don't like what you're doing or what you're saying, what would you like them to do?
I think starting with something that I like to do when I don't understand something or I'm unhappy about how something is, I like to come from a place of curiosity.
Yeah.
So I really think that a great way to approach me would be like, why is it like this? Why is this happening? Why did you just make that decision? And if they're unhappy with my answer, then saying, I'm unhappy with that,
Okay.
I think that that's okay. I think that that's part of our civil discourse. I mean, that's part of our democracy.
What have you learned in your first month? Was there anything where you've encountered where you said, oh my, I didn't know that, or I had no idea it was going to be like that. Has anything like that happened yet?
I am very grateful to say that there has not been anything that's been surprising to me so far.
Good. Those will come.
Yeah, and it's funny. Actually, one thing I do find interesting is people keep saying this expression, oh, do you feel like you're drinking out of the fire hose?
Yeah.
And I actually don't feel like I do feel that way. I mean, it's a lot of information, but I'm someone who's like, you just got to take it one day at a time,
Good.
one step at a time. Do your best. That's all you can do. And just really have realistic expectations. And I think that that'll help me stay balanced throughout my mayorship.
So where do you get your news from? And do you read about yourself?
I get my news. We have really excellent local news. We have Berkeley Side. We have the Berkeley High School Jacket. We have Daily Cal. We have the East Bay Times, East Bay Express. There's so many different local news places that we can go for our news. I mean, the radio is great. If I have the time, I would listen to the radio more. And yeah, I mean, I do think it's important to read about myself, but I always like to say, don't read the comments, right? We live in a time where people can be so toxic, especially on social media. So I've got great staff who can read the comments for me and tell me if there's something that we should be doing.
Read this pile, not that pile.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you listen to podcasts?
Yeah, when I have the time, but I really... Not recently, honestly.
Okay. Did someone inspire you to do this? Do you have a political hero? Do you have like a mentor? Do you have somebody who like said, if they did it, I could do it?
I have so many mentors.
Good.
And I think that there was not one person who really inspired me to run for office. I think that there were many people. I think that just seeing and hearing from people in my community about the things that they wanted to see and really feeling like, there's more that I can be doing to serve my community. I really think it felt like a call from the community.
Did you ever see yourself running for office?
I think I knew I was interested in running for office, but I think one thing I wasn't sure about was what level of government.
Yeah.
And I will say that the best thing about being a mayor is that you really get to interact with the public. Like throughout this conference, people are talking about how people come up to them at the grocery store and tell them about something or lobby them for some other reason. And I actually kind of like that. I mean, I don't mind just saying like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. Why don't you write my staff and we'll have a conversation about it later.
We're here at the Conference of Mayors. What's your takeaway been so far on day one?
Oh my gosh. Just I think it's amazing how we are a huge country and yet many of us are dealing with so many of the same issues. I think that that's a huge takeaway. And also just how supportive everyone wants to be. I'm really encouraged by that.
Did you ever envision, were you class president? Were any of that stuff?
No, I was not class president. I actually think with League of Women Voters, I've always kind of been on the outside, encouraging government to do better. I mean, I think people always think of the League as just voter services and voter registration, but also there's a lot of advocacy as well. And that's the piece that I think people don't realize.
And how many times when you were on League of Women Voters and you watched a candidate, did you think, I could do better than them?
I don't know. I've led a lot of candidate forums. I've moderated a lot of the debates myself. I think I tend not to be that way because I know it's a really tough job. It's hard to answer these questions on the spot.
Yes. All right. So if I'm coming to Berkeley, where are we going? What are we having? What's the dish of Berkeley?
Oh my gosh. There's so many. I couldn't possibly pick. There's so much great food in the city of Berkeley. We have good Asian food. We have good Mexican food. We have great pizza. We've got.
Do you cook?
I cook. I'm a huge foodie. I mean, Berkeley is all about food.
That's why I asked.
Yeah. I mean, gosh. And then there's like Chez Panisse, the home of California cuisine, and things like Top Dog, which has got this very political lens. We've got a lot of vegetarian. I guess you haven't been
up to French Laundry yet.
Oh yeah, no, I have not been up.
Probably not a good idea now that you're there. What do you make when you're home?
Oh, you know what? It's so funny. My parents are both from New York. My husband's from New York. I make a lot of Italian food.
Really?
Yeah, Italian food.
Food.
Yeah, but I also make Japanese food, Chinese food, really kind of anything that's fresh. We've got this great grocery store called Berkeley Bowl. Oh, that's what you really should do if you ever come to Berkeley. Is see our amazing grocery store.
Berkeley Bowl. All right. So this is the Good Government Show. We always bring it back to good government. You've only been here for a month, so let's talk about the Good Government project that you're going to jump on.
Yeah. If I were to think about good government, like I spoke about earlier, what is important, I think connecting to the people. And so, we're going to be looking at a lot of initiatives to be connecting more directly to people and have them be able to give feedback and also for them to hear and learn about what's going on in their local government. I think that would be the biggest success to me.
Adena Ishii, the new mayor of Berkeley, California, 1 month in. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to call one or both of you up in a couple of years. We're going to do this again, and we're going to see how you're doing.
Okay, that sounds good.
I'm going to check back with you and see how things are going in Berkeley.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us on the show. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. After you get done with this episode, hear more good government stories with our friends at How to Really Run a City. Former mayors Kasim Reed of Atlanta and Michael Nutter of Philadelphia, and their co-host, journalist and author Larry Platt, talk with guests and other mayors about how to really get stuff done in cities around the nation. Check them out where you're listening now or through their nonprofit news site, thephiladelphiacitizen.org/podcasts. First woman of color, first Asian American mayor. That's what the people of Berkeley, California have for mayor. Adena Ishii is just what you want as mayor. She's young, she's committed, and she's enthusiastic. She's got good people around her, and she knows the city. More important, she got involved. I hope she serves as an inspiration for future government leaders just like her. She's only been in the job for less than a year, but I already liked her answer to what is good government. She said, government has to be functional. That's a good outlook. Well, that's our show. Please like us and share us with your friends and review us right here where you're listening. And check out our website, goodgovernmentshow.com, for extras. Help us keep telling stories of good government in action everywhere. Join us again for another episode right here. I'm Dave Martin, and this is The Good Government Show. The Good Government Show is a Valley Park production. Jim Ludlow, Dave Martin, that's me, and David Snyder are the executive producers. Our show is edited and produced by Jason Stershic. Please subscribe, then share us, and like us and review us. That's the best way to make sure we're able to keep telling these stories of our government working for all of us. Then listen to the next episode of The Good Government Show.